Hello, fourth graders. Math time today is lesson 8.4. So if you'll go to your big book 8.4, that's page 329. Page 329. 8.4, page 329. Remember, as you're going there, we practiced yesterday multiplying a whole number times a fraction. We said the denominator did not change. It only represents the amount of pieces an object is divided into. So the whole number and the numerator are multiplied. We keep that in mind today as we begin today's math. We have Christina planning a dance routine, and at the end of each measure she'll make 1 1/4 turn. Well, today, instead of just having a simple fraction, we have a mixed number that we're multiplying. How many turns will she make after the first 3 measures? So we pick up our 2 numbers. We do know that we're multiplying now, but it's a mixed number by a whole number. So when we multiply the mixed number by the whole number, we have the whole number and the mixed number. We have to change the mixed number into a fraction. We practiced this a whole bunch in chapters 6 and 7. To do that, we do the whole number. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. It transforms it into a fraction. And then, like yesterday, we can just multiply the whole number times the numerator. We're again changing it, the mixed number, to a fraction. If you look at the next page, we have a little bit more breakdown of how to change the mixed number to a fraction. If we want to change 8 1/5 to a fraction, we can look at that. We can move the 8 here, and we use the identity property, which means anything times 1 is the same thing as itself. So we know that 1 here is 5/5. So 8 times 5/5 leaves us 40/5. And now we have our 40/5 plus the 1/5 we had left over. So we have 41/5. Again, that's a bit more of a breakdown, but basically the shortcut, or the shorter way of looking at it, is multiply whole number times denominator, add numerator. 8 times 5 is 40, plus the 1 is 41/5. Again, that's something hopefully you remember because we spent a couple of chapters practicing it. If you're not sure, do some practice with that. Remember to either look at this or remember you multiply whole number times denominator, add numerator. We can also do the reverse, which is what, again, we have practiced a lot. Once we have a fraction, we can change it back to a mixed number. We do that by dividing. We put our numerator divided by our denominator. How many 5s are in 32? Well, you guys know your multiplication. You know there's 6 of them. And whenever we write a digit in our quotient, we actually have to multiply and then subtract. So 6 times 5 is 30. We subtract and we have a remainder of 2. So how that looks in our fraction is we have this answer, or our quotient, is 6. The 2 is our numerator, and 5, which is what we were dividing by, is our denominator. Again, this was a quick way to, there is a quick way to think about it, just doing it in your head. How many 5s are in 32? Well, 6. And when we take the 6 5s out, it leaves 2/5. Once again, this is something we're not going to spend a lot of time on in this chapter because it's something we spent a couple of chapters on earlier. You can always go back in your big book to review that part, moving mixed numbers to fractions and fractions back to mixed numbers, because we'll be using that a lot as we're doing these kinds of multiplication. So let's look at this one. We have 5 times 2 2/3. What we want to do is take this and write it as a fraction. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 2 in the numerator is 8. So we now have 8/3. Then we multiply. 5 times 8 is 40/3. Then we have to put it back into a fraction. So we say, okay, how many 3's will go into 40? And to do that, you know that that's going to be 3 goes into 40 13 times. Anybody get that? Brian, did you get that one? 3 times 13 is 39, and then we have a 1/3 left. So let's look at our last page. Get ready for your assignment today. We're going to look at this first one. We can tell that we cannot multiply a whole number by a mixed number, so we have to change the mixed number to a fraction. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So we are going to have 11/3 right here. Again, we multiply whole number times denominator, add numerator. Once we get this, we do our multiplication. Like we practiced yesterday, 2 times 11 is 22/3. But that cannot remain our answer. We have to take it back to mixed number form. How many 3's are in 22? Well, you guys all know that 3 times 7 is 21. So 22 minus the 21 leaves just 1 in the numerator. All right, let's practice this one. Try it on your own, and then I'll show you what I get. This one is easy. It's like yesterday because we don't have to change anything. It's already just a fraction. Only catch here is it now says to write our product as a mixed number. Yesterday we could leave them as an improper fraction, but today we have to move it back to a mixed number. So how many 5's are in 12? Well, you know 2 5's are there because 2 5's are 10. What's left of this 12 when we take the 2 5's out? 12 minus 10 is 2. Moving it back to a mixed number, as the directions say, gets us to 2 2/5. This one's a little harder because we have to transfer it to a fraction and then back to a mixed number. You can see why we spent time in earlier chapters practicing that skill. So let's go to a fraction first. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3, 9, 10, 11. Do you get that? 11/4. Then we multiply that times 3, and we come up with 33/4. And then we want to divide this 33 by 4. How many 4's are in 33? Well, there's 8 of them, because you know that 4 times 8 is 32. What's left of the 33 when we take the 32 out? Just 1, right? So our answer is 8 1/4. Well, I think we have time on this video for 1 or 2 more. This one needs to be changed to a fraction and then change back to a mixed number. So try that and then look at the recording. You could pause this while you work on it and then turn it back on and see if you got the right answer. So hopefully you've already figured yours out, and then turn the recording back on. To move this to a fraction, we say 1 times 6 is 6, plus 5 is 11. So we changed it to a fraction of 11/6. Then we multiplied that times 2. We got 22/6. Now to go back to a mixed number, we see how many 6's are in 22. And you know that there are 3 6's in 22. What is 3 times 6? 18, right? So 22 minus 18 left us 4/6. We moved it back to our mixed number. All right, kiddos, I think we can do one more before we hit the 10-minute mark on this video, which is where I want to stop. Let's check this one out where we have to move, because these are a little bit easier. This one has to move to a fraction first, doesn't it? So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1, 5. Then times your whole number. 3 times 5 is 15 halves. Then back to a mixed number. How many 2's are in 15? 7. 2 times 7 was 14, and we take that 14 out of the 15 and leaves us just 1, 7.5. Again, you can check back to earlier chapters if you need some help reminding yourself of how to move from a mixed number to a fraction and a fraction back to a mixed number. When you're multiplying, just remember the rule is whole number times numerator only. If you have questions, you can give me a text, or hopefully we'll get something set up. Maybe we can do FaceTime or something like that.